Hi, my name is Deanine Moore, and I will be the tutor for first grade English Language Arts next year at eXtend Homeschool Ministry. Just to give you a little bit of information about me, I am a follower of Jesus. We will begin each of our classes with prayer. I will treat your children with the love of Jesus, and I will hold everyone to Christ-like expectations. So, of course, that's myself, all of the students, how they treat each other, how they treat the adults, just to make sure that we have, an environment that is conducive to learning and supports the missions, part of the mission of eXtend Homeschool Ministry. I am the wife of Antonio Moore for 10 years now, and I am a mother of two boys. August is my youngest. He is 2 years old, and Antonio Jr., whom we call AJ, is 6.5. So he will be 7 when he starts next year, but he'll be going into third grade at eXtend. So as you see, I'm also a homeschooling parent. I'm a homeschooling mom, and I've been in education in some respect over the last 18 years. For first grade, because I know that students can start early. Students as young as 5 are welcome to register up to about age 8, and that's just to ensure that we still have kind of a closer range of ages, but also allowing for some flexibility, because I know with homeschooling, that's one of the one of the benefits is that we can really decide what's best for our kids, not just dependent upon their ages. We meet first thing in the morning, so first period, 8:30 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. My goal is to help continue or to really start to build strong writers and readers through very explicit grammar instruction. The phonics instruction is done online and it is optional, but I highly encourage you to have your students engage in phonics instruction. We'll also do literature exploration at eXtend and during home time, but you'll also have spelling and handwriting/journaling practice at home as well. We'll talk more about the kind of what happens at eXtend and what happens at home in just a moment. So as you see, as the tutor, my goal is to introduce the new content. Sorry, my husband was leaving. My goal is to introduce the new content and to allow for students to have practice time so that way they feel comfortable with the content, so that when they go home on home days, it doesn't feel foreign. So they feel ready to tackle the work. Okay. There will also be some reading. As I mentioned, we do literature exploration for a portion of the class on Thursdays. Okay, but for spelling, phonics, handwriting/journaling, and more reading, all of that will happen at home. Your students will need Shirley Grammar. This is the teacher's manual, which is completely optional, but I'm holding it up so that you can see what it looks like, because the student workbook looks just like this, except it's smaller. Okay, this is level 1. The 2 books that are going to be required are the student workbook and the practice sentences. You'll need to buy both of those new because they are consumable. Now, I put, when AJ was in first grade, I put all of his stuff in a binder. So this was how, his binder was broken up. So you see like the jingles section and each of the areas. That way they have all of the stuff with them. And then you can't see it. Somehow I kept turning to blank pages. But then at the back of the book is where you see the second book, which is the smaller book, which is the practice sentences. That's where that's held, because they're going to be classifying and categorizing sentences. So that's why those books are really important for them. But they get really good at those skills. So I know it seems a little daunting first off, but we take time and we really build on those skills. And as I said, this is the manual, completely optional. I do include some of the pictures for like test and scoring support, so that way you feel confident on those days. And I post that information to Google Classroom. We'll also need some literature books, and one of the books that we'll be reading is Poppleton. And the reason why I'm holding this one up is because this is the one that people ask the most questions about, because there are a few different books in the series. So just this one, it's just Poppleton by itself. Okay. And we'll use a couple of other supplements as well. Like we'll use literature pockets. The students will also read a few other books. They are listed on the curriculum documents on the eXtend website. If you choose to use a binder, your students will need a binder. About 1.5 inches is enough to hold all of the information in those two books. I would not recommend getting anything bigger than a 1.5 inch binder. If you choose not to use a binder, that's fine. We can talk through the best ways to support students without a binder and how to kind of set up their materials. Okay. Of course, always, always, always pencils and those basic materials like coloring materials, scissors, glue sticks, etc. There will be a copy fee because I do make copies, as I mentioned, for things like literature pockets, and at the beginning of the year especially, we'll be working on grammar and writing notebooks. They're interactive notebooks. So I make copies, and then your students build out the notebooks. So they will need to glue it, and there's lots of paper involved in this. But it's a fun way for them to come back to the information as well, and makes it a bit more hands-on as well. There are 5 days of assignments, so even though eXtend only meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there is definitely work for 5 days. Each week on Mondays, you'll administer a spelling test to your students. Shirley Grammar also has tests each week. The test won't start for the first 6 weeks of class for first grade, but then or the first 6 chapters of class for first grade, but then after that, they'll start to have weekly tests. We'll have book reports twice a year, but there will be some type of project every quarter. And the expectation is that your students come prepared and ready to learn. You are the teacher. I am the tutor. So that role is very clear. I will, direct your student back to you as the teacher, but my goal is to make sure that I'm introducing the content so that you're able to continue on with instruction at home. To that end, communication between us is going to be very important. We want to make sure that we're clearly communicating with each other so that I can best support you in this homeschooling journey. For work submission, I do ask that you submit 2 examples of student work every week via Google Classroom. So even though your students might be doing tons of work at home, I only need 2 copies or 2 pieces of student work just to show, just to kind of keep a log of everything for grading purposes. I also will ask you, of course, to submit grades for tests, things like that. Okay? If you need to reach me, here's my contact information, dmoore@extendhomeschool.com. Also, my phone number, it's a Colorado number, so that's why it's 720. That's where I'm from, and I've had the same number for over 20 years now. So 720-840-6715. If you need to reach me, text is probably the quickest way to reach me, so that's why I say text is best. All right, hope to see some of you all and your students next year. Bye-bye.